I have to say, you alarmed, if that's the right word, investors in recent days arguing for quicker tightening. Since then, we've had even more alarming pricing data, both consumer prices and producer prices. Is that 1 percentage point hike by July even enough in your mind at this stage?
Well, on the investor alarm, we're not trying to keep everyone calm, I guess, at every moment. I think what we want to do is pursue the best policy that we can and let the market adjust, let the market price appropriately. And we have high inflation in the U.S., headline CPI inflation running at 7.5% over the last year. If you want to throw out food and energy and go to the committee's preferred measure of inflation, I now think that will be above 5% in the next report, about 5.2%, I'd say, on PCE inflation, less food and energy. So this means that we're missing our inflation target on our preferred measure by, more than 300 basis points. And policy is still at rock bottom lows as far as interest rates, and we've got still asset purchases going on. So this is a moment where we need to shift to a less accommodation, and the debate is about how fast to do that. I've suggested that a good target would be to have the funds rate or the policy rate up at about 100 basis points by July 1st. And that does mean we would have to move faster and more nimbly than we have in recent decades. But I think that's probably the appropriate policy now. We need some risk management in case this inflation does not moderate in the second half of this year, in which case the Fed would really be, I've said in previous interviews, in a pickle.
Reversal Advisors. Dan, good to see you.
Mel, great to be with you.
So Staples, the only winning sector on the week, up 1%. We were talking to Brian Kelly yesterday, Beakers. He said that he was buying Philip Morris, which seemed nuts to me. What's your take on the markets here?
Yeah, don't smoke. Stay in school, kids. I'm not with Beeks on that one here. I mean, listen, this was a really interesting week for me because if you look at a lot of those macro assets that you thought might have been moving around because of all the uncertainty with what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, I think it's interesting that we end the week with the dollar basically flat, with rates a little bit lower than where they were just a couple days ago. The 10-year U.S. Treasury yield was well above 2%, now closed at 1.92 or so. The VIX was actually down today. So crude oil was down, Mel. I mean, so it didn't look like we were raging on risk assets, risk off sort of things, other than high valuation tech stocks. They just continue to get bludgeoned here. And I think last week when I was on with you and Sarah, I said it is not over, and it's not going to be over for these names. And listening to Kathy Wood yesterday with Scott Wapner, I thought was really interesting. She made a lot of great points, except one, in my opinion. When you see such a large part of the market where so much positive sentiment was kind of encapsulated in, and they crash, and that's what's happened. They've crashed. A lot of these tech names, they're not coming back anytime.
Good early AM, 12:04 AM Eastern Standard Time on the East Coast in the United States of America. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, here to keep you guys on the right track. Make sure to hit that like button and turn that bell notification all, and subscribe to the channel if you're new or returning. We're getting close to 7,200 subscribers, which is fantastic. So this is gonna be real quick. I got other things I'm doing. My son just fell asleep, and I'm helping. Julie just fell asleep, but I'm making sure her foot's okay. So she fell asleep with her walking boot on, so even though she can't walk. So I'm going to go in there after I record this video, and I'm going to go take it off and make sure her foot's okay. So Bitcoin's up 875 points, up 2.28%. So what are we doing, Tom? Very easy. Retesting part of the drop point. It doesn't look like we're going to get all the way up there. It's possible we do. But with the volume that's coming in, Notice. Big volume burst. Big volume burst. Big volume burst. All on the dips. Now on this rise right here, very small, puny volume. Didn't even overtake any of the drop volume. Very bearish. This is very bearish. And all we did was figured out the RSI and worked it out better in the 30-minute. Don't get caught in this because it's going to come right back down here in the short term. I know a lot of YouTube is starting to go bullish again because it always happens. We have a drop and then it's up 3% from a 10 to 15% drop from the top. And then everybody's, oh, we're bullish. It's going to happen. Everything's going to break out. And then 2 days later, they're singing the same tune they were at. But now everybody's down another 12%. Right now, the safest place to be is on the sidelines. Unless you're a gambler. I am not. I do my things based on technicals. So I don't mind losing out on 5 and 10% moves when I know we're in a bear market. So, and just for the record, correction is 10% to 19%. A bear market technically starts at 20% by definition. Your bear, 1/5 is gone. Imagine if 1/5 of your clothing was gone. You're starting to be a little exposed. 1/10 of your clothes are gone. You're like, oh, I'll get rid of a few shoelaces. It's not so easy when you gotta get rid of your shorts, you know? So that's what we're looking at for Bitcoin. We got 39,457 resistance. I talked about this in the last update where I thought this could be the overwhelming resistance area. But I wouldn't be surprised if somebody gets overzealous here in the early AM when the U.S. market's open and they push it back up to that 39,849. But really, there's not really much room here and we're not getting enough volume to push us past the drop point. So we're really capping most of the upside here, if not all of it right now. So just keep your mind right because there's going to be a lot of fudsters out. XRP, again, I mean, I don't have to say anything. The volume can say it all for me. Typically, sideways and down on an M, we went sideways. Unless we can find a big burst of volume. But what we've done now is we've had this drop, little bounce back, right? And likely going to do that. What this has done is getting the RSI under control in the 30 minutes so it can have a nice big drop all at once. So we got 80494 resistance on XRP, 77,281 support, and all we're doing right now is we're fighting back through the levels to prove that these old support levels have now turned into resistance, and we're trying to do it right now at 804, but we got to get up there first. And this is the second or third attempt now since we fell through to try to break back through 804. But guys, look at that volume. The volume's decreasing in the 30-minute. That is not bullish. In fact, that is ultimate bearish. These patterns, I don't know what most people are seeing. These are not bullish. These are so bearish, it makes my head want to jump out of my body. But we're all entitled to our own opinion. And if some people mean bullish by we're going to go up 3 to 5% after a 12% drop across the board, okay, I mean, that's not bullish to me. That's just we're retesting old resistance, or old support and now turning it into resistance. The bottom line is we've got a long ways to go still. I would say to get back to this first accumulation zone at about 68 cents would be a good start. You know, play it there. That would be a great start. XRP's got to finish through this pattern now. We've got about, 6-7 days left for this pattern to actually play out, and you can see it. If it breaks up, you come up to $1.10, like we've been saying. If it breaks down, you come back into the accumulation zone. With all the FUD and stuff in the news, I would personally expect this to break down. And it's not because I think people are FUDing it out and that's why they should sell it. I think there's a lot of FUD and that's why people are keeping it in still. A lot of people are saying, oh, the FUD is getting people to sell. I think it's the opposite. I think all the FUD has too many people in still. But I still think we have that potential here, though. If we can hold this area, and it's tricky, if we could somehow hold this area and the broader markets would cooperate like Bitcoin, there is still that outside chance that I keep saying, and it's risky as all jiggle-magolies, and that's why I'm not in, but there is that chance. And it's probably a 12 or 15% chance at this point, because that is still a bull flag, that it's going to bounce up. And that's what I'm going to leave you with. It's going to bounce up and maybe you get up there and retest that. But if you were to break out and use this whole area like you're supposed to, this would come up here like we've been talking about, $1.10. Because this is being made as a prototypical bull flag. And you could have a market-wide pump to get us up there, and that's not off the table. But if you're willing to ride that, it's risky as all hell. And you better have a setup and a stop loss and all that other nonsense. And you better know how to trade if you're going to try to ride that. XRP Future Millionaire. I'll see you guys in the morning. Stay blessed.